Hello, my dear friends and family. I'm Operator Starsky with new updates on Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine. And today we need to talk about one very simple thing. When Russia brings fire to Ukrainian cities, the Ukrainian defenders answer not with tears, but with drones, missiles, and sometimes with such beautiful timing that even the internet needs a few minutes to process what just happened. My dear friends, this is the Frontline Focus. Let's roll. And first of all, we have to start with Kyiv because this whole story has a very important beginning. On June 15th, Russia launched another massive attack on Ukraine, and among the places damaged was the Kyiv-Pechersk Lavra. And one of the holiest and most historic Christian sites, the Uspensky Cathedral, was burned due to a direct Russian strike. This is a place connected to the roots of the Orthodox Christianity, to Kievan Rus, to the history that Russia basically tries to steal from Ukraine while also bombing it. Because apparently Russian spirituality means setting churches on fire and then explaining on television that it was probably somebody else, Ukrainians did it themselves. This is where I will say something very simple. Don't make God angry, because this is a fight you will definitely lose. Few days later, Moscow got a very loud response. On June 18th, Ukrainian drones hit the Moscow oil refinery located in Kapotnya. This refinery is one of Moscow's key fuel facilities, reportedly supplying a huge share of the capital's petrol and diesel. And the strike was so spectacular that one fuel tank basically launched its own roof into the sky. The funniest thing about it is that this impressive performance was born due to Russian missile actually hitting its own fuel tank. The videos were absolutely insane. Black smoke over Moscow, flames, explosions, and good Ukrainian drones flying through the most protected city in Russia. And somewhere in the background, Putin's legendary air defense was probably busy protecting either a statue or maybe Lenin's remains or maybe another palace toilet made of gold. And of course, the memes arrived faster than Russian firefighters. People online turned the flying tank lid into a true symbol of Russia's defeat that will be definitely remembered forever. But behind the memes, the strike was very serious. The refinery had already been attacked earlier that week, and then it was hit again. But the most important thing is that for years Russians were told that the war is somewhere far away. That is basically a television show where only Ukrainians have to live with explosions, children crying in shelters, and sleepless nights. Well, Moscow, congratulations, your country started this war, and now the war is politely knocking on your very own door. Then literally today, June 22nd, there was another wave. The terror Russian officials claimed hundreds of Ukrainian drones were intercepted overnight, including dozens heading towards Moscow, and Moscow airports had to suspend flights again. Ukraine's military reported a strike on Dubna satellite communication center in Moscow Oblast, and also a strike on the Voronezh semiconductor plant, which produces electronics used in Russian missiles. And while all this is happening deep inside Russia, occupied Crimea is also turning into a very uncomfortable place for the occupiers and Russian tourists. The Ukrainian medium-range drones have been basically cutting all links connecting Crimea with Russia. The result is that Russian occupation authorities had to completely suspend fuel sales for civilians, cancel all sorts of public events, reduce lighting because they lack electricity, and also tell people to stay calm, which in Russian official language usually means that the situation is very bad and Russians don't know how to solve it. At this point, Crimean Peninsula is slowly changing from a fortress into a very expensive island that Russians literally can't escape and also can't bring anything to it. And here we also have a very important technology angle. At Eurosatory 2026 security exhibition in Paris, Ukrainian defense companies were actually some of the most interesting people in the room. Ukrainian drones presented at the exhibition, including the interceptor systems, reconnaissance platforms, as well as long-range strike drones, were getting serious attention from Western partners. For example, Firepoint showed upgraded FP1 and FP2 concepts, with the FP1 range reportedly pushed much further than before. So to sum it up, my friends, Russia had a really tough week. Crimean occupiers got isolated, Russian propagandists are still coping over the ashes of the Moscow refinery, and the internet had one of the best meme weeks of the year. And the lesson is very simple, my friends. If you worship war, don't be surprised when the war comes home. And also, if you believe that Putin's air defense will save you from good Ukrainian drones, well, maybe ask the fuel tank lid where it landed. With that, my dear friends and family, I wish you all a beautiful day. Don't forget to subscribe to stay informed about the most important updates, and also share this content to help Ukraine be heard. I'll see you in the commentaries. I'm Operator Starsky. As always, be safe.
Subscribe to UATV English and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.